What's up, everyone? Welcome in to the Streets Are Buzzing special draft show tonight. Heading into the draft week, we got James Barlowe of NBA Big Board back. James, we had to get you back. Appreciate you making time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, lots been happening since we last spoke. You dropped your latest mock on your Twitter tonight, and we'll talk about that as well. We'll go through some players that you feel might be likely to rise and slide as we head into draft week. Everyone out here watching along, appreciate you. Get through your questions, and we'll see if we can get through each one as well. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more draft talk. We've got Daniel and Darren in the building with CT and James. James, how have you been? How's the last week or so been for you?
Busy, man. Busy. Been doing different podcasts and different networks, but I'm appreciative of the opportunity to talk basketball. I love
Yeah, no doubt. Um, it has been busy. Um, let's talk about your latest mock, and I'll bring that up on the screen right now. Since we last spoke, um, you've obviously been hearing some talk through the draft wins and all of that. As I pull it up right now on screen, we've got coming in at pick 24 and 25, and this is based on what you would do, James, if
it.
you were
Yes.
running the organization. Nothing's changed in terms of Isaiah Crawford, right? What have you been hearing lately? Anything changed?
Putting my anchor down on Isaiah Crawford. A couple of knee injuries in his past, so maybe he drops. But if he has a clean bill of health, I think he's very undervalued. I think he's a young 4 or 5 year guy, 5 year guy. I believe he started college as a 17-year-old. So that's always a sign. And he may be 21 still, which is crazy. I think he turns 22 in July or August. So I'm still buying him. I'm putting the anchor down. I know the last time we talked, I had Jurisic sliding to you guys or sliding. You guys picking Jurisic. I don't want to say he was sliding, but after some more film study, I had to move him up. I don't think he. I think Milwaukee's a good fit for him, so he may not be there. But I think again, if you're a Knicks fan and you say we need a backup point guard, a backup playmaker, and we do want to keep both picks, and we take Isaiah Crawford on that wing, I do like AJ Mitchell a lot at Cal Santa Barbara. He's more of a combo guard, but he can play some point guard. And if you decide that you do keep Julius and you want to run a second unit through him when Brunson is out, he should be able to play off of Julius and spot up. But I think he's really good in pick and roll, and I'm a fan of him. I think he's about 6'4", so yeah, I like him there.
Yeah, I like it. I still love Isaiah myself. Maybe a little bit later for the Knicks, but you're higher than him on him than me. I think he would be a great fit for 38. Um, but I think all the talk is now, James. We've heard word today that the Knicks have explored some talks with the Wizards for Mitchell
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. They've been interested as well. I think the Knicks got to take a big. That's just
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, but I really do love AJ Mitchell. I do like Isaiah Crawford as well. Um, in terms of like Zach Edey, um, you know, Deron Holmes, do you just feel like they're going to be off the board? Like if they're on the board at 24, like would you take them ahead of one of the guys that you've put?
Yeah, if you're I guess hell bent on getting rid of uh Big Mitchell Robinson, then and those guys are available, I think you should do it. I do like Edie in New York. I think he would be a fan favorite. He should be able to give you solid minutes, off bench. I think Deron Holmes is going to. I would pick Deron Holmes a little earlier, but if he's available, take him. If Misi slides, he's available, like take him. I just it's going to be tough because I feel like the Lakers are going to take a big. I read something today again. Don't know how true it is, but Miami may be interested in taking a big there too. So if they like BC or if they like Deron Holmes, then maybe a big is just not available to you. So, but there may be one. Again, I don't know if Washington wants to take a big at 26 or if they want to take a big at number two. It's kind of up in the air. I mean, we still trying to figure out what Atlanta is trying to do. But any combination of big wing or wing should, in my opinion, work for New York.
Yeah, it sounds nice, man. I love Khalil Ware. I do like Deron Holmes. I do think he'll be gone, but would be an opportunity to maybe trade up if someone's
Hmm.
there. Um, Now, as we get into some guys who might be sliding potentially, and the Knicks might have a chance to trade up, right? What are you hearing on Ron Holland? Some people have hit us up and thought maybe let's say if he slips to 17, and the Knicks have a
Hmm.
chance to move up, package 24 and 25. Would that be a no-brainer for you? What are your thoughts on the Knicks potentially trading up for a Ron Holland if he's there?
Well, here's my thing with Ron. I'm hearing that he is sliding. I guess some of his workouts haven't gone as planned. The jump shot looks like it's more of a work in progress than you expected. But if I'm the Knicks, I wouldn't personally trade up for him. I get the talent, but like if you guys are in a timeline right now, I think where you're trying to win, and he on that team he provides energy. But like if OG's not going anywhere, right? And then you bring back Josh Hart, and then we already know Tibbs is going to play his guys. It's like, where do you find minutes for Ron? It's not like it's a wasted draft pick, but like if he has obvious flaws where he just can't shoot and he's going to be like a volume scorer, I don't think he's going to get those opportunities in New York. Um, so I personally wouldn't trade up. Like, again, I like for you if you're going to sit here and say there are 8 to 12 minutes for a rookie, you want a Jurisic, right? Somebody who's a little older who you know is going to be able to come in and score right away. So that's just my personal opinion as far as Ron goes. I think Ron his best bet as far as him like just developing and becoming a player that I think that he can be. He's just gonna need like a bad team with some structure, and then he may be a guy on a good team, even with the Lakers at 17. Like, where does he find minutes on that particular team that's trying to win? Who didn't play young guys last year? They got a new coach, but I just don't see where he cracks that rotation, even with all his talent but he still has like limitations though.
Yeah, man, I hear you on that, and I think look, it's a little conflicting with some Knicks fans in terms of the organizational situation, the thinking behind the draft philosophy, right? For you, like as you said, Ron Holland is someone who you don't think would fit the timeline right now. But do you think the Knicks organization might be doing themselves a little bit of a disservice long term to have that mindset? Like, what's your general thought on, I know they're closer to contending, but there's been some players that they did miss out on by going for a lower ceiling kind of guy.
Mhm. I think with just the way that things panned out this last playoffs, like you feel like you're close. Health aside, like you beat Indiana if you're healthy, right? And then you got to think, okay, Boston is they have one more year to be able to pay the team that they have. So it's like you need somebody. I think that window needs to be addressed now. And the way that the salary cap is working out in the NBA, like those dynasties, you just can't afford to pay them anymore. Like that second apron taxes is hurting owners. So you may not have the time for a Ron Holland to like turn around and develop, but also at the same time, like Knicks have drafted well, like quickly worked out for them. Deuce McBride worked out for him. So it's like I I trust the new front office with what they're trying to do. I just don't think Ron fits. It's like you need somebody with some upside, but you need somebody that can like play like right away because you know the East is, I mean, really the entire league is like wide open. Yes, Boston should be back, but they are on everybody's an injury away, as you can see. So I think the Knicks should go with somebody who can contribute right away, but it still has some upside. I just don't think Ron is that particular guy.
Yeah, I feel you, and I think well, based on what you're hearing about Ron sliding, is it just the workouts, the shooting? elements to that? Do you think that's sort of putting some teams off?
Yeah, I think it's putting some teams off. And it's I think it's the workouts, but also like really the overall evaluation of the guys is just low. I think in the eyes of the public, right? I don't think Matas Zealous. I don't have him in the top 10, but I feel like the jury's still out on him. Can he really shoot? He shoot the ball well this past year. I think he shot the ball well 1 year at Sunrise Academy, and then his like AAU EYBL film, he didn't shoot the ball well there. So it's like, can he shoot? Tyler Smith, he may drop. He may be available for you there at 24, 25. Um, People don't think he is a capable defender. I think he is being valued in this process, but he may just be getting the bad line for the G League Ignite because that team wasn't good. So it's like, the guys that they had did have some talent, but I don't think they were put in the best situation to win games, because you had, I think, six or seven 18 and 19-year-old guys, and you can't win college games with 18 and 19-year-old guys anymore. That many of them. Like, teams that are winning the NBA or the NCAA championship, they have 4 year, 5 year guys. So you're asking 18 and 19-year-olds to play against professionals is just tough. So like, your flaws become magnified. And then, you put a young core like that, in particular Ron and other guys, but it's not a knock on Ron, but we're down 20. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to boost my draft stock. So I might take three or four bad shots because I got 16 and 20 looks better than 16. So it's like, to me, a combination of a lot of things like not working out for him on top of guys having flaws. He's not the only guy in the draft that can't shoot, but when you look at the film, he was in a situation where it didn't look as good as his talent probably should have been showcased.
Yeah, so basically, AJ Mitchell, you feel like with his experience and coming in would help this team from the get go. And do you think he'll be there on the board? I know this is what you would take at 25, but do you think he'll be there on the board?
I believe he'll be there. The Just looking at other mocks, I think a lot of people have him at the 25 to 35 range, but I think he will be there. But that's also at the same time, the difference between 20 and 35 is just a matter of preference to me. So I think he'll be there at 25.
Yeah, and there's a list of guys that have been confirmed to work out with the Knicks via the hoops hype. I know there's probably some missing. I don't know if there's any that you can see or that you can't see that you've heard of that may have worked out for the New York Knicks.
Can you run that list by me? What's that?
Yeah, let me bring this up on the bigger screen for everyone to see. Yeah, pulling it up now. So we got Ryan Dunn,
Mm-hmm.
Shireman, Tyler Smith, AJ Mitchell was confirmed recently, Enrique Freeman, Kashar
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, Antonio Reeves, Tristan Newton, and the rest are non-ranked prospects on the screen.
I got one for you and he would be somebody that could check a few boxes for you, and he could play right away. Baylor Shireman out of Creighton. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his game or the Knicks fan are, but like, he reminds me of Joe Ingles. Had Joe Ingles came over at 23 instead of, I think, like 26 or 27. He can shoot. He rebounds very well for his position, and he can pass. And it's like, those are the kind of guys that I personally feel like the NBA should gear towards, not just to defend and shoot, but like, he can do more than a couple of things. So like, I like Shireman if he's available there in New York too. Because if you feel like Isaiah Crawford, if you're not me, you're not as high on him, and you feel like those needs just may not be, that may be too much for you. Like, Shireman he's been rising up the boards. I think he had a workout with the Celtics. He shot 81 out of 100 from three. Like, he can legit shoot the ball, but he can do more than shoot. Like, he can pass. He rebounds very, very well. So I really like Shireman.
Yeah, me too. I think the Knicks are as well. They brought him in, worked him out, and I think he's rising definitely in what we're hearing. And good to get your thoughts on Baylor as well. Anyone else that's climbing? Enrique Freeman is a guy who's getting more buzz. as well. He's worked out for the Knicks, so that's good news for me. Tyler
Hmm.
Smith seems to be
Hmm.
rising as well. Do you agree with those? Any other names that you're hearing are really starting to gather more momentum?
Ryan Dunn's his defensive highlight tape is coming out, and if you look at his defensive highlight tape, you're like, that's a first round pick because 6'8", he can move on the wing, he blocks shots, he's very very athletic. He's just a terrible shooter right now, and that's just to be like blunt. Air balls, and he is in a sense, he's a project because he can't shoot. But if you ask him to go out there and play defense, then he definitely can go out there and play defense on opening night. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice as far as him like floor spacing? He may be somebody you have to play as a small ball five until he develops a jump shot. But again, I'm not as high on him because like the jump shot is just scary to me. And in the NBA, it's like if you can't defend, you can't play. But also if you can't shoot, like they'll find a way to exploit that. Guys won't guard you. You mess up the spacing. Like those guys you have to get off the court. So if he's available, what's your other pick? 32?
38.
38. At 38, you have to take him. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, I'm glad you said. Yeah, I agree. I think first round. I think Ryan Dunn's obviously the links with Tibbs. A lot of fans have talked about how suitable he is defensively, but
Mhm.
offensively, you make a great point. Late in the playoffs, staying on the floor late in games, you have to put pressure on the other team's defense, right? And
Even in the second quarter, like if not him, but a particular guy that just is not an offensive threat, and it's 4 possessions down the court, like you can get in trouble because we're not going to guard him. Like, I mean, I live in Dallas, and I guess I'm calling guys out. Like, we had a lineup with Kleber and Tim Hardaway Jr. in the game, and it was like brick, and they were down 14. So it's like those minutes hurt you just as much as the minutes hurt you when you have a guy out there that can't play defense. So yeah, he's a project, man.
yeah, look, Tibbs, there's talk about he'll love the defense, which he will, but yeah, Tibbs will have a quick hook as well. Like you said, you brick a couple shots, so you 10-0 run, other team, and yeah, and Tibbs wants to win right away, which is why, look out for Ryan Dunn potentially with one of the first, but more likely with the second round. I think, as you're saying, right, I really think the Knicks should take a big. Khalil Ware is a must take for me if he is there as well.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of AJ Mitchell, though, gives you a little bit of everything. Do you feel like he could be a solid backup for Jalen Brunson alongside Deuce?
Yeah, I think so because I think Deuce is probably best off the ball, spotting up and making plays off the ball. I think he played very well. He's a guy that he stayed the course. I know he wasn't playing a lot his rookie year, but he stayed the course and he provided a lot of valuable minutes. But to me, I guess the ultimate level of him is like not ultimate. He may be the ultimate, but like the Javon Carter, Patrick Beverly, where you're just like you're point guard by size, shooting guard by offense. I still think you need another playmaker for him down the line, and I think AJ Mitchell will be able to complement him as far as what he brings to the table. Deuce does.
Mm, yeah. And I think maybe the Knicks could be looking at these undrafted guys as well. Like, who do you think might be a candidate, James, to get undrafted, and might be a steal to pick up out of maybe Jamal Shed, Tristan Newton as well, worked out for the New York Knicks. Jamal
Mhm.
Shed, a little undersized. There's talk that they will love the defense, but he's 6'1", and another guy who's maybe 6'1", there might be some size issues with that.
I would, if it were between those two, I would go with Tristan Newton. He's 6'4", 6'5". He can make plays. I got one for you that is not on your list. Point guard for I'm drawing blanks all the time, but the point guard for Virginia. He's not a shooter. He's a scoring point guard. Reese Beekman. There we go. I think Reese Beekman undrafted would be very interesting. He's a guy that it's hard to evaluate Virginia guys because their offense is just not pleasing to watch. But he can score, he can make plays. Jump shot needs work, but he's not a non-shooter. I think he'd be interesting if you said that we're not gonna draft a point guard, we're gonna bring somebody in that as a free agent. But I do like Tristan Newton. My thing is with Shed on that, you already got Deuce as a small point guard. You may not need too many of those guys on the roster.
Yeah, agree. And I think, how about Dennis Jenkins, out of St. John's? He's you know been talked up recently in the local scene as well. Do you think he could be a good backup for Jalen Brunson?
I think so. Again, he's gonna fit the mold. He played for Patino, tough guy. That's my brother. He talks him up a lot too. So I mean, you're gonna get the cosign for me if my brother likes him. So, but I think that's somebody else. Like again, this draft, I know a lot of guys went back to school, but there are probably 80 guys that just have a legit chance. And it's just not your top 10 isn't as sexy as you would want it to be, but there's a lot of like depth and talent in this particular draft.
Yeah. And look, I'm probably the most highest in terms of two-way with one of the first picks on, as I said, one of the bigs, Khalil Ware, Deron Holmes, Edie. But the other one is Jalen Tyson with that other pick.
Mhm.
Now you've got him, I think, 11, right? Do you think he's not going to be available for the Knicks?
Look, if I was in charge, he would not be available, man. I don't get why people don't what they don't see. That dude is a hooper, and if he's there, obviously, look, CT, you take him. But I personally don't think he's going to be there. I wouldn't allow it if I was in charge. He just does so many things well and needs to score, and not just a score like he can catch and shoot. I love him in Sacramento. Really like him even with them trading for Caruso in Oklahoma City. Some people are lower on him. I couldn't tell you why, but if he's there, take him because he's 6'7". He can shoot. He can score. Strong frame. He can pass some too. I like him. 21 years old. He can go.
Yeah, yeah, I love him, man. I like Bub Carrington as well, but someone's got to slide. Like, if you had to put your money on maybe one or two guys that you think have a higher chance of sliding, who would it be right now?
So, according to my board and just my thinking, I'm not as high on Filipowski. I've seen him as high as like 14, and I can't get down with that one at all. I think Jacoby Walter could slide. I think maybe Jared McCain can slide due to his size and like he showed a lot of playmaking at Duke. So it's like how many teams if it's a copycat league, excuse me, how many teams are going like we need a 6'2" shooting guard that doesn't offer a lot of playmaking. And that may be a fit thing more so than like we gotta have. I know he can shoot the cover off the ball. He did rebound pretty well, but like he's not like a over the top athlete, so like he could slide, at least in my opinion. But and guys like Taylor could slide. Again, I'm not in charge. I wouldn't let him slide. Khalil Ware could slide because there are concerns about how much does he love the game, right? But the talent, he's a lottery talent for sure. But a red flag for any player, let alone a big, being that his motor is something that you just have to like, look over a few times. But as far as like a big man with more offensive talent than him, there may not be one in this draft.
Yeah, I'm praying that Khalil Ware does slide a little because I think James, the Knicks will have more intel. They
Mhm.
obviously with their due diligence with Coach Woodson with
Yeah.
Indiana. Yeah, there's rumors about Ware lacking that toughness, and if those are true, I think the Knicks will have had their intel, and their due diligence on that. Um, but also a question I wanted to hit you up with. Um, in terms of developing some guys. Let's say the Knicks took a guy like a Ulrich Chomsky, right? An upside
Mhm.
play. Everyone knows that. If the Knicks were to take him at 38, what do you think would be the best for his development? Like stashing him in the G League, overseas, like what they did
yeah.
with
Nah, he's
Rokas.
got to go to the G League, man. He's a few years away. Like he's just turned 18 in December, and I know he's athletic. He tries to make some plays as far as passing, but he's got a ways to go. And at 38, sure, you roll those dice because you don't need him for your playoff rotation. But I don't think overseas would probably. I think he needs to be here as far as like his development, so you can like keep a closer eye on him, bring him up when you play a bad team and move him back down when you need. So I think he's a project long term. I think he's a couple years away, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, the Knicks have Westchester, and they've got to do better at developing some guys, in my opinion, and use that platform like they did with Deuce McBride. Deuce
Hmm.
spent a good portion of the first two seasons in the league developing in Westchester, and he was putting up 40 points a night as well. Um, in terms of Isaiah Crawford, like you're high on him. I'm pretty high on him. Why do you think he's not really like locked in into the first round at this current point for most other people?
Well, some people will say, okay, he's got the knee injuries, and I get it. That's a concern, a valid concern. He played at Louisiana Tech. That's not a power, whatever it is, six is what they call it now. Not a power six school, and he just doesn't have like he's got a his agent isn't like a big time agent, so it's like who's pumping out information about him to the fan bases. But that's where guys like me and you, we do our homework, we do our research. He can shoot the ball and he can create just enough. Is he going to one, two, or three option? No. But a rotation guy that defends at a high level and that can put the ball on the ground enough to get a one drill pull up. I'm telling you, man, he just Nick fans, he looks like OG Ananobi. And if you with just a little bit that you've seen from OG Ananobi, if you can get like the store brand version of that in somebody off the bench, like you would absolutely take it. And like I'm a really big fan of his. Again, if the health checks out, like he can shoot and he can defend. He's got huge wingspan, big hands, huge shoulders. Like he fits that mold.
Yeah, the two-way guy that shoots the heck out of it. There is some of those injury concerns, but yeah, we'll see. There's been no reports that the Knicks have worked him out. I would love to hear more of that. Uh, have you heard
Oh yeah.
yeah, any of the latest buzz from workouts? You mentioned Baylor Scheinman shot 83s out of 100. Has there been any other intel you've got from workouts coming out?
I'm not gonna name any names. I heard some guys had some bad workouts. I did see Jacoby Walker had a good workout for. I mean, I personally don't think he's gonna go that far, but it's really hard to tell because you got guys working out for pick 5 through like 30. So like my guy Jalen Tyson, he's worked out for basically the whole first round. So it's like where could he
Yeah, apologies. We just got some
for the first round?
connection challenges, tech difficulties. Yeah, you just dropped in and out. Just missed that last section.
Oh, just Jalen Tyson. He's just worked out for the whole first round. Tyler Smith, he's worked out for the whole first round. So it's like the range of guys or where they're working out at is you just don't know. So that's really the biggest like thing that I've taken from this is like, okay, we know that SAR is only working out for a couple of teams, but there's only a handful of those guys.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you on that, and yeah, we'll see what teams do. When they put their money where their mouth is. We've got a viewer question that's come in on a prospect we haven't hit on yet, Terrence Shannon Jr. James, and their sales pitch, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Mm,
Is he checks a lot of the boxes: mental toughness, athleticism,
okay.
explosiveness, defensive upside with a motor, and some significant
Hmm.
improvement he's shown over 4 years. Like, what are your thoughts on that sales pitch for Terrence Shannon Jr.?
Look, his mental toughness with everything that he had to like play through is that says a lot about him. My biggest concern, I get the athleticism, I get the steals and the scoring. Is what does it look like for him in a drill down role as far as like the shot making ability, right? So at Illinois, like he had the keys and he could do whatever he wanted. But if he is reduced to a smaller role, will he be able to catch and shoot at a high level? Because in previous years, he didn't shoot the ball well from three, right? And he may be more of a rhythm guy than a shooter. So he may be feast or famine off the bench, but I mean he's definitely somebody that you take a long look at because he's definitely an NBA athlete and he can put the ball in the basket. And like you said, that mental toughness is, we know one thing, he won't be rattled by any situation considering what he's been through this past year.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's been through a lot, and look, I'm glad to hear that he's got that fixed, and and he can move on with his career now, and I think he will probably be a first round pick. Um, but yeah, I think the toughness, the aggression would work. We'll see if how high the Knicks are on him. Um, in terms of some potential, trades, Rokas Jokubaitis. I don't know if you know a whole lot about his game from a few years back when the Knicks stashed.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially trading him out with one of the Knicks' first round picks for a guy out in Minnesota, Josh Minot, who's a guy with upside. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think he would fit the Knicks. Like, what do you think about a potential trade like that? Dalen Terry out in Chicago, some guys that are a little bit more ready-made that can come in and help the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't know about Dalen Terry and Minot. They're projects, man. And really, if I wanted a young guy from Minnesota, he's probably not available. But Leonard, man, I forget his last name.
Miller,
I'm bad with last names. The guy that they drafted last year, Leonard Miller. Yes, he dominated the G League. I think he's a better player than Minot, but I mean that's why Minot is available. Um, but it'll be interesting actually to see what the Bulls do with Lonzo. Let me throw that one to you, right? So they obviously they brought in Josh Giddey, um, and they can. I read a rumor they may buy him out of his contract. Is he somebody you take a look at and say, you know what, those are our backup guard minutes there? And I know he's got his history of knee injuries, but is that somebody that Knicks fan would be interested in?
not a question. It's more just we haven't seen him play ball for so long, and it'd be tough
Right.
to put a lot of stock in that recently. That's all. I think the game would work pretty well as a nice combo guard backup. Um, what do you think out in Washington, James? If the Knicks do execute a Mitchell Robinson trade, who on Washington would you think would be a good fit to come over in a trade from them? Dani Advida has been spoken of from some fans.
I don't know if I don't think Mitchell Robinson gets me a Denny Avdia. I think you can get more from now. Again, if a pick is attached to it, yeah. And also if they decide that if Reese Shea is available and they like him more at number two, then they're gonna have to clear up some forward minutes. I've been very impressed with Denny Avdia's growth since joining the Wizards. He was a non-shooter his first couple years. He's turned himself into a shooter. I do like him though. In Washington, maybe Corey Kispert is available instead. He's a shooter. We know he can shoot off of screens, off the catch. He's a movement shooter. Again, it's kind of hard to tell with what they're doing. I know it's funny. He'll be available. I don't think you want him, and that's Johnny Davis. Yeah, I don't think you want to take. You might have to take him on to get a pick back. But if you ask me if it was between Denny and Corey Kispert, who I think would be available, I think Kispert is probably less valuable. But it would probably depend on what they're doing with the draft at number two. If they go with a wing there, if they go with a big.
Yeah, yeah, I prefer Danny much more than Kispert. But what about Atlanta, DeAndre Hunter or AJ Griffin, I think DeJounte Murray. I think those guys are a little bit more in the timeline with the New York Knicks.
Mhm. I don't know what you're going to give up to get Dejounte. I think that may be too much. DeAndre Hunter is good. He's just never healthy. He's got bad knees, and as soon as he gets something going, his knees start hurting. And it's unfortunate because I think he shoots the ball well and he defends at a high level. He just can't stay healthy. And AJ Griffin, man, he's been glued to the bench. I don't know what he can do. He
Sadiq,
couldn't crack the rotation when guys were even out.
yeah, Sadiq Bey is I think got a free agent situation. I think restricted. I think the Hawks keep him, but if he's available, would be a great fit. Like
Mhm.
Bodega says as well. Salute to the chat. We're joined by James Barlowe. If you're enjoying the conversation, smash that like button. Appreciate you, and let us know any questions you want us to hit on. We'll go for another 5-10 minutes with James on this NBA draft. Right, as the New York Knicks have 2 picks and one in the second round. Your latest mock dropped today. If you're just joining us, James Barlow,
Mhm.
this is what he would take, which is Isaiah Crawford, the two-way wing, Kawhi-esque defense with a three-point stroke, and AJ Mitchell, UC Santa Barbara. I like the picks. I really do. I just don't think the Knicks would be doing that. But I'm on the same mindset of you. Um, let's say if you weren't picking Isaiah Crawford or AJ Mitchell, could you give us two more picks?
If
Um,
those guys, if I wasn't doing that, uh, I like excuse me, Tristan Da Silva. He would be an option off the bench. Again, if your biggest needs are wings because Boyan is getting old and Alec Burks is getting older, even though he lights it up whenever he does play. I think Tristan Silva would fit there. Let me see. Who else do I have on the wing? I wouldn't say if Jurisic, we talked about him last time. If he's there, I think he's an option. Maybe you go with another older guy. Uh, I like Shireman there, of course. And if he doesn't, they say he could be a top 20 pick, but maybe not. Um, Jalen Bridges may be a reach. It may be too much, but you could also go with Tyler Kolek if you really feel like you needed a backup point guard, and we know Tyler Kolek can make plays. Uh, he's going to be tough. He's going to make good decisions, and there wouldn't be a drop off as far as like production, as far as like running a second unit. You could look at him as you see what TJ McConnell did for Indiana. Like when he was in there, the offense was still humming. He was good. He's not the same kind of player, but he can run a second unit and make things work, especially with Julius, or if you end up keeping Mitchell Robinson in pick and roll big because he's very very good in pick and roll basketball.
yeah, I could see Tibbs being a fan of Kolek. I'll prefer him in the second round. I'm really high on Bobby Clintman, and I like Tyler Smith. I know you probably
Mm-hmm.
don't think he'll be there. I think you took Tyler Smith at 12, right?
No, I
Um,
moved. Yeah, I think it's.
14.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I like Tyler Smith. I'm gonna stand there, and I mean he's 6'11". He shot 36% from NBA three. He's got his defensive concerns, but even with that said, he averaged over a block a game. He's athletic. I think two dribble pull-ups, and he can post up on a switch. Not like we're not gonna throw him the ball all the time on the post, but on a duck in, I think he can score. And I think he can he uses both hands in the. I just think people are overthinking it with Tyler. Again, if you say his defense isn't good enough, I mean that's fine. But like he's 19, right? And he was 19 playing with a bunch of 19-year-olds playing against grown men. Like this, so I think he is lottery talent, and he's probably being slept on. But that's just my opinion there.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but yeah, my pipe dream is Holmes. done with the second round pick. Um,
Mhm.
but Rand's asking, do you believe Shannon Jr. of Illinois will drop to the second round, or do you think he can get his stock into the first round?
I think he could get his stock in the first round, but I think that people like myself are just gonna try to look deeper into the shooting where he shot the ball well. And for an older prospect, that's more of an issue than it would be a younger prospect. So if he was 19, like okay, maybe we can develop that. But at 23, he shot the ball finally well. That may concern some teams. But again, 25, 35, even 40. When you look back at it, somebody in this particular draft that's going to be taken in the second round, we're going to look back and say, man, he probably should have been taken top 20. So it could be Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of steals being had, James, and I know, yeah, you've been chopping it up for so long now. We're all looking forward to post-draft coverage, like we
Yes,
talked about when we just came on, right? There's been, a whole heap of prospects. We love doing this. But you look, I just want to say you guys have done exceptional coverage, NBA Big Board, you and the team from Raphael, Leaf, and the rest of the team as well. And I look forward to the evaluations, right, after the draft, right? Any last words
yes.
on the Knicks to the Knicks fans for draft night?
Uh, you guys are probably gonna boo whoever you draft, so just be patient. You guys are gonna boo whoever, but it's okay, man. Like it is what it is. You guys love hard and you hate hard, and when you get to that love part, man, it's always back in New York. Once a Nick, always a Nick. So you make your guys earn their respect and earn your respect. Excuse me, and I'm all for it. So. But wing big, and you should be fine. Wing big project. So if you do keep the picks, take a wing. If there's a big available, take a big. Second round, take a project, and go from there.
Yeah. Look, in my big board, I have Kalel Ware and I have Jalen Tyson dropping to the Knicks. James doesn't believe he'll drop that far, but I'm trying to keep the faith. Maybe there's a little trade up. But yeah, Jalen Tyson and Kalel Ware. And obviously, Deron Holmes is probably gone. If Edie's on the board, I have to take him with one of those two first round picks. I think you agreed with me, right, with Edie?
Yeah. If a big is if a there could be I think six bigs taken in the first round. Like if there's one available, you got to take one. And I wasn't sold on Edie, but you know what? In 20 minutes, he can be very, very effective, especially with second unit. So I like him in New York.
Yep, big wing, maybe a playmaking point guard if it is there. Maybe undrafted, like you said. Reese Beekman, Tristan Newton, Jamal Shed, Tyler Kolek, and that. I'm
Hmm.
ready, Knicks fans. My next show will be a mock draft next week. I'll look forward to it. And James, it's always a pleasure to chop it up with you, and look forward to talking soon.
Hey, man, appreciate you again for having me. Just let me know. I'll carve out some time, talk with the Knicks fans. I'll put some Tim's on next episode. Do whatever we got to do.
No doubt, and yeah, the chat's showing a lot of love for you and your
Appreciate
brother,
it.
and yeah, and the rest of the team as well. And like I said, guys, if you enjoyed the show, smash that like button, like and subscribe, and also to the NBA Big Board. The link is in the chat, and we'll see everyone soon when it's ready to take our picks. Salute.